Hello, Army of Youth. Today I get to share with you about how to distribute content far and wide throughout social media. This is going to be a little bit more repeat and enlarge on um, our content plan on how to share the gospel with others. So let me minimize this a little bit more. I'm going to drag this over here and put that right there. Sorry about that. Great. So I am looking at, we're going to be going over this list here. This is the content pyramid, and this is Gary Vee. He's some sort of he's a digital marketer online, and he shows people how to use social media to spread your message to the world. And in this case, it applies to the gospel message of evangelism and training for the Army of Youth. So it's important to understand. It says, my model is structured like a reverse pyramid. I use one piece of what's called a pillar content, or which would be like a documentation of a vlog or a question and answer show, interview, or keynote. And then he allows his team to analyze and repurpose it into 30 other pieces of content that are designed to over-index, or in other words, to expand or to amplify or multiply on all these different platforms that they're distributed to. So number one in this pyramid, this upside down pyramid, it's one long form piece of content, and long form would be it's longer in size. So for our context, it could be one divine service sermon. A sermon could turn into 30 different pieces of content. It could be a prayer meeting Bible study. It could be a personal interview with the online Bible studies that we do on Zoom. It could be a group Bible study. It could be an online webinar or a local webinar. It could be a cooking class. It could be a variety of different things, or like a podcast or an interview with other ministers to see what they're doing. This would be what's called our pillar content, the content that we're using to break down into what's called micro content. And that is the next thing we want to repurpose. And a lot of times what happens is that we're thinking about a sermon, and we think that is the content. And we look at that and we try to share that with other people. We watch it, and it's this long piece of information that's like hard to digest, really. But what we could do is we could take that sermon and look at it as a campaign rather than just a one-stop shop publication. So we break it down into a lot of micro content, which is short form pieces of content. So that would look like articles for the blog. That could be memes, images, social media quotes, like inspirational quotes, stories for My Day, Instagram, Snapchat. We could remix a variety of different like interviews, missionary classes, prayer meetings, sermons. We could do mashups. We could take it by subject and just mash up together little clips and bits and photos and pictures that deal with the subject that we're looking at. They could be rants, gifs, whatever it is. We're repurposing the pillar content into micro content. Think about building a house. With building a house, you have these 2x4s. You've got this long board, and then when you take a blade to saw this board in half, what do you get as a byproduct? You have sawdust. So and then comes along this entrepreneur who is gifted, and he sees this sawdust and all the sawdust that is coming as a byproduct of building this house, and he sees, what a waste of sawdust. There's got to be some way that we can take that sawdust, repackage it, repurpose it, and be able to sell that for a profit. And what does he do? He makes some pellets for pellet wood stoves, and there's an entire booming industry that's succeeding because of just a byproduct of construction, of taking a 2x4, a long form 2x4, and breaking it into short form sawdust. So in other words, what does that look like? Well, the 2x4 is the pillar content, like the hour sermon or the hour Bible study online that's recorded. And then the sawdust is all the little micro content, the photos, the images, the things that we broadcast far and wide. And you use those micro contents to be able to reach more people. And then you distribute all that content on the relevant social media platforms like IGTV, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and then Facebook Live. You got Quora, Mashable, Blogger, and email newsletters, and you're able to just broadcast them to wherever people are, because we want to take the gospel where people are living, and this is where the people are living in the 21st century. We got to take the gospel to where they are. So step number one is to establish the pillar content. What is the pillar content that we're going to use? And in other words, for us, it's going to be like I mentioned, it's going to be online Bible studies, recordings from our classes of the discipleship training or the School of Evangelism. We're going to take these clips. They could be prayer meetings. They could be online, I think I said online Bible studies, but sermons during divine service. These are the different pieces of content that we're able to use as our pillar content. And so that's what we're able to do. Then we're going to create micro content out of this. So as you can see, what we want to do is with the team is to have people to be able to go through the contents and see what are the highlights, what forms or what short pieces, 3-minute clips, 10-minute clips, 5-minute, 30-second, 15-second clips. What clips are the most impactful, the most meaningful out of the video that would be able to be a standalone content, micro content for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat? Which one can we repurpose and reuse? And then we mark those, and we have the video editors to be able to cut it up, chop it into micro content, and repurpose that. On the bottom, you can see that Facebook requires a 1:1 square ratio, and Instagram requires a 1920 by 1200 pixels, and the max video length is 2 minutes 20 seconds. So we need to look for that size. And then Instagram is also a 1080 by 1080 pixels, so that's a square video, and the max video length is 1 minute. And they just released the IGTV, so you can go a little bit longer. So creating the 1 minute posts for Instagram and also IGTV videos for publishing long form content. And Snapchat gives you 15 seconds, and they want it 180 by 1920 pixels. So that's like landscape, that's portrait, not landscape. And so resizing and reformatting these into portrait, you're able to take these 15-second clips and post them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, My Stories, and it really helps to broadcast the truth even more. So these are the micro content that we're keeping track of. And this is just showing that the team, you can see what he did is he took this keynote message that he spoke over for Dutch Bros in Portland, and it was 2 hours and 20 minutes. And his team, they cut it up into these sections, reposted it on Facebook as, I believe it was 4 separate it was 4 separate posts, and it was native. And as you can see, he didn't just post it as is. Facebook, the culture of Facebook lends very, very well to having a bold title that challenges the assumption or really catches your attention. And then at the bottom, you have these black bars at the top and bottom, but on the bottom black bar, you have a caption or you have a transcript, because when Facebook videos start as you're scrolling, the title stops the scroll and catches your attention. Then the transcript plays while the video is in silent mode. Facebook automatically plays them in silent, and that's why the caption is important, so they can read the content and be like, whoa, let me turn on the volume, I want to hear this. And then they actually watch. So that's the game of Facebook and how to reach them that way. It's a little different than YouTube. It's a little different than IGTV, but that's why we are able to repurpose that, and that's why we need a team to be able to publish these things together. The next step is to distribute the micro content on whatever relevant social media platform. So here you see an example. The pillar content goes on Facebook, podcasts, YouTube, and IGTV. Then the micro content gets repurposed and reposted on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. And the spoken word gets turned into the written word, and it gets posted on Quora, Mashable, I don't know what that logo is, email, and LinkedIn. And if you know what that logo is, leave a comment section below and let me know. I'd love to find out. So he was just saying that IGTV was coming around when they started. So the first round of micro content is ultimately used to drive increased viewership to the pillar contents on this top form of the platforms, as well as to bring listens or downloads to the podcast. What does he mean by that? Well, here's a schedule of kind of what it looks like. So you see that the pillar content is on Facebook, podcast, YouTube, and then you post that at 12 p.m. Then the micro content is posted 1 minute afterwards on IGTV, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and all of it contains a link to either YouTube, Facebook, or the podcast. So as soon as it goes live, the pillar content, then the micro content is just like little branches going all throughout the internet, just blasted out, where people see that. It's just a really clipped snippet and they're like, whoa, I gotta see the bigger picture. Then they click the link and then they see the long form podcast, where it will the pillar content will do much better if when we use the micro content to drive views to the originals when it first gets published. And also when that happens, then the algorithms on Facebook, podcasts, and YouTube start to show them to more people, more subscribers, because the algorithms deem that your content is more relevant to more people. It's a brilliant concept. So this is what we want to adopt. And then what we want to do is to get community insights by listening to the viewers and the people that are commenting. After we've distributed the pillar micro content, we want to listen to the audience and see which pieces of content resonate with them. So you can see that as it's being posted, the comments, people are commenting on things, they're posting when they like this or that. And here this person said, my body just froze up and tears started falling. Respect, bro. That's our 1 hour, 22 minutes and 19 seconds. So it says exactly the section in the video that really was very impactful to the individual. So we're able to get the feedback from the viewers and see what really hit them. And it gives us a hint, or it highlights, it spotlights a piece in the long form content to know what piece to extract and repurpose and broadcast as standalone content or micro content or the sawdust content. Hope this is making sense. And another way to engage with the community is that Gary Vee, his team and him, they started telling their audience to comment with a timestamp to a section of the video that they liked. And with that timestamp, it makes it a lot easier to find. And then the next step is to create the community-driven micro content. The first form of creation was what our team thought would resonate best. And then the second form of creation is what the community actually said resonated best with them. And we want to apply these insights to our audience by making more micro content of the sections that stood out to your audience the most. So we saw where it says that their body just froze up and tears started to fall. What they did is they made that as a micro content and they titled it "Doing the Right Thing is Always the Right Thing." And they reposted that section because of this comment. So listening to our audience is going to increase their interest, their care, their buy-in to the community. They feel like they're heard. And then we want to redistribute that part of the content across all of our social media platforms. So we're just redoing it all over again, get the community insight, and then just broadcast it far and wide again. So you can see how all of this is coming from like one sermon, so to speak. Instead of looking at an hour sermon as just like that's posted and that's it, you can now take 1 hour sermon and publish it into like 30 different pieces of content throughout a variety of social media platforms. How amazing is that? So that's what we'll be able to do. And now this is going into the nitty-gritties of exactly. So now we see the theory and kind of like why we do that, or kind of what it is. Now we're going to get into how this is actually done. You want to see how to do this? Check out the next video, because we're stopping this here.